Hey, what's up guys? Happy New Year. I recently heard about a father who put his 3-year-old daughter to bed, told her a story, and then listened to her prayers, which she ended by saying, "God bless mommy, God bless daddy, God bless grandma, and goodbye, grandpa." The father said, "Why did you say goodbye to grandpa?" The little girl says, "I don't know, daddy, it just seemed like the thing to do." Well, the next day, grandpa died, and the dad thought it was a strange coincidence, but a few months later, during her bedtime prayers, the girl says, "God bless mommy, God bless daddy, and goodbye, grandma." The next day, grandma died. And the dad started to freak out a little, but decided to keep quiet about what was happening. And then several weeks later, the dad heard the girl pray, "God bless mommy and goodbye, daddy." He practically went into shock. He couldn't sleep all night, got up at the crack of dawn to go to his office, and he was on edge all day, but figured the best thing to do was to stay awake at work until midnight passed, and then maybe he'd be okay. Well, finally midnight arrived and he was still alive, so he went home. And when he got there, his wife said, "I've never seen you work so late. What's the matter?" He said, "I don't want to talk about it. I've just spent the worst day of my life." And she says, "You think you've had a bad day? You'll never believe what happened to me. This morning, the mailman dropped dead on our front porch." Okay, I know, listen, we're all probably praying goodbye to 2020, right? I mean, I saw people on Instagram hitting 2020 piñatas celebrating the death of the year. Well, today, instead of celebrating the end of a tough year, I want to talk about being ready for anything. See, when something goes wrong, we often work to prepare ourselves to be ready the next time the same event happens. But the same adversity rarely happens twice in a row. For example, after the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center, we immediately increased security at the airports in an attempt to prevent more planes from flying into buildings, but that did little to prepare us for the shoe bomber just a few months later. And on a more personal level, the next transaction you have that falls apart right before closing isn't going to do so for the same reasons that the last one did. Or the next listing you lose isn't going to be for the same reason you lost the last one. Nonetheless, how many times have you experienced something displeasing in your business and vowed never to let it happen again? Well, psychologists call our tendency to prepare for a repeat of the same adversity availability bias. In other words, it's easy for us to misjudge the frequency of events that just happened simply because it's easy for us to remember them. So while it's good to learn lessons from adversity and make the necessary improvements, that won't prepare us to be ready for the next unknown challenge. A better approach would be to recognize that adversities and occasionally disasters will happen and prepare to be surprised by life. And there are 2 ways I've learned over the years to be prepared for surprises. First, when you're not in the middle of an adversity, take the time to seek out areas in which you might be vulnerable. So if you were to face trouble in your business, do you have enough cash to get by for 6 months? Or if you were to face a challenge in your health, have you been taking care of your diet, exercising, and sleeping habits? But what if you were to face a serious challenge to your mindset? That leads me to the second thing that you can do to be prepared for surprises, and that's cultivate a mindset that's open to everything and attached to nothing. Now, that's a concept I first learned from Dr. Dyer when he wrote a book about his year-long study of the ancient religious text called the Tao Te Ching. Staying open to everything and attached to nothing is way easier said than done, but it's absolutely worth the effort. I remember him saying he'd given all of his possessions away except for the essentials while he was writing the book in order to truly learn that lesson himself. And what I'm suggesting is that when you're not in the middle of a crisis, you have the chance to set your mind to be prepared to be surprised by life, and you have the chance to create backup systems in your business and in your personal life. Because what's really going to happen this year? Will the markets heat up even more? Will the stock market crash and we end up in a buyer's market? I mean, no one knows. So rather than prepare for the last disaster, let's prepare to be surprised by 2021. If we can do that, I'm convinced we can handle anything. So what thoughts does this trigger for you? Do you like the idea of preparing yourself for the unknown? Does it excite you or scare you? Leave a comment before you go, okay? Well, thanks for watching, you guys. It's going to be a fantastic week. My name is Jason Edwards, and let's go think bigger.